Welcome once again to this discussion on the Bhagavad Gita. Let us discuss, we have already discussed that work and yajna, karma and yajna. As we have come across this yajna, which can be translated in English as sacrifice. Because you see, yajna has come from the root Sanskrit word, judge. Judge means to adore, to worship. And this worship, this love, all these things emanate from a deep love. So when we say yajna, it is the act of adoration, act of worshipping. And then this worshipping or this adoration, they have love at their root. And love is something where there is no expectation. There is no expectation. It is only that to give wholeheartedly whatever is demanded from love. And love is exactly like that. So in this way, we can say that is yajna. Of course, that has become an English word. But yajna as a whole, we can very well translate it into English as sacrifice. And Sri Aurobindo has done that. He said yajna is sacrifice. So the last we have discussed karma and yajna, work and sacrifice. Now here, let us have some discussion on the significance of the sacrifice. Or we can say the significance of yajna. Why sacrifice? Why yajna? What is the reason? Now by far, as we have discussed, karma or action or work is a must. Nobody in this world can go without works. He or she has to work. But again, whenever the work comes, the other things follow. And the other things are attachment, bondage. We have already discussed it. But what Sankhya advocates is naiskarmya. Naiskarmya. And we have also discussed this naiskarmya can never be achieved either by renouncing the work, renouncing the karma, or by abstention from karma, not doing any karma, or renouncing the karma. Either by these two means, naiskarmya can never be achieved. We have already seen. For example, suppose we remain absent from karma, but our senses, they want that some karma should be done. A particular person internally feels to do a work, but out of the austerity, he is practicing as per Sankhya's norms. He may not be involved in any work. Because Sankhya says, if you do a job, if you do a work, if you are involved in action, the bondage, the attachment and other things follow. And when they follow, this naiskarmya can never be achieved. On the other hand, we have already proved that nobody can remain without any work. Nobody can remain without work. Some work has to be done. Maybe for maintaining this body. And only maintaining this body is not enough. There are other things also come in the way. and we just can't avoid them. So, the contradictions are there. On one side, we cannot avoid karma. The other side, if we are involved in karma, attachment one day is coming. Therefore, they pollute, they vitiate the entire atmosphere. We again become a prey to this asakti or attachment, and that doesn't serve our purpose. Because the whole purpose of living is to uplift, elevate, raise, sublimate this being. Brahmisthiti, if we remember, Brahmisthiti at the end of the second chapter, Karma Yoga. Esa Brahmisthiti Partha. Sri Krishna says, Brahmisthiti is a must for everybody, for every human being. And that is the whole purpose for which we have taken birth. If there is any other purpose, or those who think that there are other purposes behind this birth, then perhaps this discussion will be null and void for them. But yes, the Brahmisthiti, to remain in a state which is, um, a state of godliness, or maybe in the divine status, in the divine state. That's what man has to do. That is the whole purpose. So that we have to do. And for that, karma can never be abandoned. Karma, action, work can never be renounced. We have to do some other karma. Then, to remain in Brahmisthiti, a state of naiskarmya, free from works, has to be achieved. And again, if we do some karma, then there is, a chance and apprehension of getting, bound or getting attached. So then, what has to be done? As in the last discussion, we have already discussed or come across this point to some extent. That's why Sri Krishna says the only thing that can be done to attain this, to achieve this state of naiskarmya, that is, only karma has to be done only for yajna. Only for yajna. There will be nothing, no intention behind doing any karma. So when we are discussing the sacrifice of yajna, or sacrifice or yajna, or the significance of sacrifice, or the significance of yajna, we must know what exactly yajna is. Already we have discussed that yajna is a communication or interaction between man and the gods. That we have initially, when we started this discussion, in a very casual way, we have discussed this. That yajna is nothing but an interaction in between the man and the gods. This is just about some give and take thing. So, yajna is something for which, if karma is done, so perhaps then only we can attain naiskarmya. That's what Sri Krishna says. Because Arjuna asks that if you say jnana is better, knowledge is better than karma, then why are you insisting on me doing some works, some job, this action? And Sri Krishna says, action you cannot leave, you cannot abandon, you cannot just renounce, you have to do your work. So if you do your work, then it must be done with knowledge. And what sort of knowledge? That knowledge drives us that if you do the work for the sake of yajna only, then perhaps naiskarmya can be achieved. Then there he says, Jagyarthat karmanonyatra lokayam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Hey Arjuna, Jagyarthat karmanonyatra lokayam karma bandhana. If you work, if you do action for the sake of yajna only, then there is no fear of getting attached, getting bound by this karma. This karma bandhana, bounded by karma, it will never happen. You'll be free. So only karma you have to do, then only you have to do it for yajna. Because this yajna is offered to somebody else at the higher state. So only for his love, for his sake, we are doing the karma. If that is done, then there is no fear of getting attached or out of the bondage. No bad things are going to happen to us. So jagyarthat karmanyanyatra. Then he describes what yajna is. Sahajagya prada sruštva purvat pradapatihi anena prasavishyadhvam eso vastvishta kamaduk. Pradapati, the great creator, Brahma we say, the other name of Brahma is Prajapati. He has created the entire universe, the entire humanity, only through yajna. Sahajagya prada sruštva. All the subjects, all the people, they have been created with yajna, and they have been created by this Prajapati. He has created all this, and they have instructed all the human beings. You see, you are going to the world, and you always conduct some yajna and some sacrifice. And if you do this, then all your desires will be fulfilled. All your desires will be fulfilled. Maybe you want some children, you want property or other things, which again will be offered to this higher deities as sacrifice. So that can happen only if you do yajna. So devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu parasparam bhavayantah shreyah param bhasyartha. So the gods will be happy if you do yajna. So in this way, you will please each other. You will please the gods for whom yajna is being conducted, and they will also please you by giving you the results of yajna. Now here one thing we must mark, that first of all, the meaning of yajna, or maybe how to perform these yajnas, the God here almost seems to be following the basic Vedic ritualistic action that has been instructed in the Vedas. Yajna is a ritual, but there are other meanings of yajna. But in a ritualistic manner, in these 2-3 verses we have already discussed, here we can see that perhaps the Vedic rituals, because the Veda has 2 parts. Already we have discussed to some extent or some length this Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. 2 people are there who hold Veda in these 2 ways. Some people are there who just think that the Veda is just a conglomeration, a list of rituals. Only rituals, you do this, do that, only karma. That is called Karma Kanda, what to do and how to do it. But the others also believe the Veda is a storehouse of knowledge. It has knowledge. But those who believe in the ritualistic actions, for example, yajna. So far as yajna is considered as a ritual, what is done? Wood logs are there, maybe sandalwood. Then you see the butter is added, it is set to fire, and then mantras are chanted. So what happens here? This fire is set to the woods with butter pouring, with pouring of butter, and then mantras are being chanted. If, so far as a ritual is concerned, if we think that this is what yajna is, then let it be so. But the Gita cannot thrive on this type of yajna. We have already seen that these Vedic rituals, this yajna, they were for a limited period. They were followed by for a limited period by the people. And the Upanishads, they don't believe in this. As we have discussed, the Upanishads, they don't believe in this yajna. They believe in knowledge. The rituals, they don't endorse. They just reject. As in the case of Sankhya and Yoga, here also, Veda and the Vedanta. The Veda and the Vedanta, the same type of controversy is there. Veda speaks of rituals, whereas the Upanishads don't. So again, that controversy comes up, and the Bhagavad Gita has tried to reconcile, to bring a synthesis between these two. So initially, and these things Sri Krishna has described, and almost many shlokas we can go through this. Not only that, Jagya Sishta Sinasanto Muchyante Sarvakil Visai Bhanjati tu Agam Papa Je Patanti Atmakaranat. So after offering, after the Jagya is over, whatever is left, this, the man who performs Jagya, he has to take it as food. After offering to the deities, to the gods, whatever is left, he has to take it. But those without offering these gods, they eat by themselves or whatever they prepare, they eat all those things. They are the sinners. They commit sins. They can't be, or whatever they perform is not Jagya. Then the other things also follow. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjannat anna sambhava jagyad bhavati parjanyo jagya karma samudbhava कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षरं समुद्भवं तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं जज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्. Arna, food. From food, all the creatures are formed or created, and this food comes from rain, and rain comes from yajna, and yajna comes from karma, and this karma, it comes from Brahma, and this Brahma always stays in the immutable state, akshara, immutable state. So, in a whole, we can say Brahma is stable, or Jagya stays always in Jagya. Brahma nityam jagye pratishthitam tasmat sarvagatam Brahma nityam jagye pratishthitam. So, Brahma is well spread in everybody of us. Brahma stays. Brahma is there, and he lives in Jagya. So this type of things we go on in this particular chapter, Karma Yoga, chapter 3. So Sri Krishna describes the different aspects of Jagya. So without attachment, how to do Jagyas, and if you do the Jagyas, then a state of Naiskarmya you can have. So in this way you can go. Many things he has told, and then at the 30th verse of this chapter, he says, Mai sarvani karmani sannyasya chetasa nirasi nirmamo bhutva jujhasva vigatadvaraha. O Arjun, all the karma you have to surrender to me, because I am the master of all the karmas. So when you do yajna, The yajna is meant for me. So you do the yajna and surrender all your karmas to me. So when you do that, a state of nishkarma you can attain. No bondages due to karma, no bondages due to action will be there. You can have a state of nishkarma. So we'll be continuing with this discussion, the significance of sacrifice or the significance of yajna to the next discussion. So thank you so much.